So you blew a node, whatever that is, or
I didn't. It wasn't me. Spectrum. Brought to you by Spectrum Internet.
all right.
So they usually do a good job, except when it's important. So,
Yeah,
hey, it's just weird that there's only one internet service provider. I mean, you have thousands and thousands of cereals and potato chips you can choose from, you know, but only one internet.
that's
Why
true, I
is that?
guess.
Well, why is that? It's so strange.
Well, at least it's
Anyways,
not like streaming services where you need 10 different ones to have everything. You know, if
well,
if this was only available on a certain internet and then you had to have another internet to get what?
it's a crazy world.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I don't really remember where we were.
well, hey, let me make sure I say thank you. I'm not sure I put that out there enough. Thank you, Chris, for starting your podcast. Thank you for inviting me to interview. And all of the other composers that have sent you music that you've played. I've really enjoyed all of the other composers. There's a few, that I really enjoyed. That guitar concerto by Mark Francis was pretty amazing. Uh, Andrei Krylov, I believe, one of your earlier ones. He's got a lot of stuff that was nice. And Lance Oliveri, David Malmberg. I did a little research, and not to leave out any of the other people because it's all been great music you've been featuring on your show. Those are some that spoke to me, more than others. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Scott. It's been my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the variety that I've got so far. A lot of just non-traditional stuff that I frankly did. I don't know what's out there, I guess. I know a lot of people put up their music in various places, and I thought this would just kind of give a place where a lot of people might look eventually anyway. But I've certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's great that you've done it. What can I say?
Oh, thanks, man. So, speaking of new music, I'm going to be playing a piece by a guy named Paul Horn, and I think I've just got one piece from him. And then I think we'll play a little Scott Niebauer music as well. How do you feel about that one you sent me the other day? Is that
Yeah, play it.
that great?
I think it'd be good
That's
to play.
open for.
I don't know.
Well,
It
I'd
doesn't
be
have a
happy
title
to.
yet, but
Oh,
usually I don't really have a titles until after I finish.
yeah, yeah.
Just call it by the date.
Hey, I was thinking we were having a conversation about those more expensive guitars.
Right.
I found when I used to play the violin, like it was kind of a must that you bought the pricier strings.
Hmm.
If you bought cheap strings on it, it didn't matter how nice your violin was; they just sounded awful.
Right.
And by contrast, I didn't really like spending $40 on a set of strings, but I think the strings make more difference than the instrument on a violin.
Hmm.
Well, that's probably not true when you're getting into some seriously expensive instruments, but I think
Yeah.
a decent set of strings can make a violin, any violin, sound pretty good. And I started using some more expensive trebles on my guitar a few years back, and I can't go back now. Uh, but yeah, I found that. I mean, that's making a huge difference on the guitar. I've not found a bass set I like yet, though. I use
Yeah.
those.
Hmm.
I use Honnenbach trebles is what I'm using,
Hmm.
and I mean they add a lot of volume. But I also tried their basses one time, and there was the basses sounded like sharp on my guitar. I'd be in tune, but fretted. They had a weird ring to them. I didn't like them.
At
So
first, right, until they get broken in.
maybe that's it. I ended up taking them off and putting back on my usuals. But I'd like to
Yeah.
find a good bass set.
Yeah, it seems like the basses are just whatever. Yeah, I've never found anything. I really like the, Savarez Alliance. Those trebles are different. They're special. I like them quite a bit.
Nice.
They're more expensive for sure. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll just use the Diodario Pro Arte, however you say it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I use for bass.
Yeah, that's fine.
The EJ 45s or whatever they are.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like the bass strings just kind of they work and then they go dead, and I haven't really noticed any special bass strings, but yeah, it's the trebles that make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't have too many questions left for you, but it seemed like a terrible place to end. Uh, I was going to ask you where you're at on your iced tea preferences these days, because I know you were going strong for the sweet tea,
Right.
and I know down in the South that's a big deal.
Yeah, because I grew up in the North. I didn't really know about sweet tea. It was just, there's iced tea, and maybe you put sugar in it, maybe you didn't. It wasn't a big deal. Down South, it's like, hey, it's a big deal. You gotta have your sweet tea. But yeah, for the integrity, the honesty, just unsweetened iced tea, you gotta man up. It's like drinking your coffee black.
That's right. That's how I take it. I take it like my tea.
You do the coffee the same way, black coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I begged all the adults. I think we were on a camping trip. I begged them all for a cup of coffee, and they said, just to basically make me go away, they said, fine, but you have to drink it black. So I choked it down because I was going to drink it,
Right.
and
So
I
since
choked
then,
that thing down, and yeah, really, since then.
huh?
I found that I don't mind like a flavored latte or something like that, but just sugar and coffee, I feel like make a real awkward flavor. I don't like it. I mean, a little sugar in iced tea, I'll still drink it. I don't mind.
Well, the thing is, you can't put it in after it's already been brewed. You have to brew the sugar in, while it's hot, or else it just sinks to the bottom of the glass.
Is that what they do?
You can't get a glass of iced tea and then just put sugar in it. It'll never.
No,
Never
yeah,
sweeten. Yeah.
it won't dissolve. Yeah.
You can use the sweet and low, the fake sweetener. That'll work, but it's
Oh,
not the same. Yeah, so it's a thing to mix it in while it's hot. I don't
yeah,
know,
okay.
man.
I didn't realize that.
It's sweet. It's good. I mean, if you like sweet
Yeah,
things, you like Coke, you like Pepsi, or you don't
I'm
drink
more of
either.
not much, but I'm more of a Coke guy for sure. I don't like
Yeah,
Pepsi.
I feel it's a superior drink.
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't understand Pepsi people.
Yeah, it's
What
it's risky
what is
territory to
this?
be getting into. I don't want people
Well,
to get up in arms about it.
we've just divided the audience.
I know. Either way, it's bad for you. Of course, the sugar is terrible for you.
Oh yeah, have you ever seen those demonstrations where they stick like a nail in a glass of Coke and it like
Yes,
eats away at the nail?
yes.
And that I got to tell you, that kind of changed things for me.
Yeah, can't
And
be
I
good
started
for you.
drinking. I hit a lot more tea than soda.
You ever try
Um,
the yerba mate?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
alternative.
it's I like it, but it's not an everyday thing. I'll drink it when I'm sick. I found it really clears the sinuses pretty well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's got a
Yeah.
weird flavor though. Kind of tastes like hay, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
My dad had a coffee shop where I used to work, and what we did is we used to it was like a sugar syrup. So all the you had your vanilla and all that, but we had one that was just like cane sugar. So it was like this liquid sugar, and that's how we sweetened our tea.
it's good.
Never,
It's good stuff.
never really tasted
Not
it.
good for you. Yeah, you're better off to just drink it unsweetened.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I'm
definitely
not sure
better.
how good that for you is either, but
It's
you know,
better. It's got to
I've
be
got one
better.
right now.
I like to drink the what is it? The sparkling waters, like Lacroix in that.
Do you
I like those. Yeah.
like just straight up club soda?
Well, yeah, it has a little flavor in it too. You can get your different flavors in there.
Uh,
That's a very refreshing drink I've found too. That doesn't have any calories or any sweeteners or
Man, me too.
who
We're
knows
like
what's
in
in
sync
it.
here.
Yeah,
Well, I'll get a. I like to just take some Schweppes club soda or something like that, and I'll just squeeze a lime in it.
oh yeah,
That's yeah,
refreshing.
that's delicious,
Yeah, non-alcoholic.
and it's
Put some vodka in there.
non-alcoholic.
It's even
I
better.
bet I bet it would be better.
So I also feel like I ought to mention, do a little shout out to Guitar Solo Publications (GSP) in San Francisco. If any of your listeners are looking to purchase some classical guitar music, sheet music, it's a good place to shop. 'Cause I worked there for a while.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's a really great opportunity. Really great small company there.
Oh, right
Still
on.
have some friends that are involved with that, but they've published a lot of music too. Like I mentioned the Sunburst. I believe it's GSP 24.
I've ordered from GSP quite a few times. So were you in San Francisco?
Yeah, I lived there for a little while. Worked in the mail order department there.
Oh, cool.
It's a
Yeah,
great
that's a great
experience.
company.
Great experience. Great company. Yeah, I mean, a lot of classical guitar music out there. I know people say, well, there's not as much classical guitar music as there is piano and violin and all that. So there's quite a bit.
Yeah,
There is
yeah, there
quite a
still
bit.
is quite a bit.
Um,
Well, hey man, I also wanted to ask you this before we finish, because I know we share a love of the Grateful Dead
oh,
and
yes.
Iron Maiden.
Oh, yes.
I know you're a big fan of the Power Slave album, which is very good. I'm wondering if we have other favorite bands that we share. Are you a Black Sabbath fan by
Yeah,
chance?
absolutely. Yeah,
Of course.
love
Cool.
some of that stuff. Paranoid.
Yeah,
Um,
Paranoid's a great album.
let's see. What's some other stuff? You never got into Sonic Youth? That Daydream Nation album was really nice.
Is it?
There's some nice
Uh,
stuff on that.
no, I never really got too into the punk stuff. I kind of checked them out. I was a big Nirvana fan as a kid, and I read like Kurt Cobain was really into Sonic Youth and the Sex Pistols and stuff like that. But
Never
I
spoke
don't
to
know, it
you.
didn't. No, no, I was really into just sort of Aerosmith was my jam growing up,
Right.
and then I got into like some more of the heavy metal for a while. There was a phase there, and then it like shot over to like all this hippie jam band stuff. Yeah, the punk never really spoke to me.
I liked Quiet Riot when I was growing up.
Did you? Right on.
Yeah. What else? What else is there? Having trouble thinking of anything now, But I do like the classic rock. Most of that classic rock stuff. It's like, oh,
Yeah. Are you a Allman Brothers fan at all?
oh, yeah, yeah. I
Check
like
them
that
out.
stuff. I knew those guys grew up around Daytona, so there's a lot of people around this area that claim to have met them and hung out with them and stuff like that. Could be
Yeah,
true. Could be
yeah, I
true.
bet. Well, somebody must have. You
Traffic.
know.
Really like Traffic.
Yeah, traffic's good.
Hmm.
I've always I've really liked the Rolling Stones. I never really got the Beatles,
Yeah.
but I like a lot of the Stones stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Those guitar riffs, with Keith, because I heard he took his low E string off the guitar. Did you
Oh,
know about
really?
that?
I
Yeah.
did not.
So
Why?
a lot of those riffs like "Start Me Up" and all of those really classic riffs. That might be how he gets sort of that mid-range sound. Is he just got rid of that low E string altogether?
Interesting. Yeah,
Isn't that? Yeah.
I've never heard of
And of
someone
course
doing that.
the Black Sabbath dude, Tony Iommi, how he got his fingertips chopped off and had to create
Oh yeah.
he created his own plastic fingertips.
Yeah.
That's got to have an
Yeah.
influence on your playing. Wow.
He was working in a steel shop, right?
Yeah.
I think is
Crazy. Can you
when I found
believe
that
that?
out, I was working in a steel shop. I was like,
Really?
sawing steel, and I read that about Tony Iommi, and I was like, crap. Better be careful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like Django Reinhardt and some of these people overcome these things where you'd say, well, there's no way you can play guitar. You only have two
Yeah.
fingers. But, man, they do it. They do it.
Yeah. I always thought if I like lost my left hand, I'd get a hook and I'd put a slide on it and just become a slide player, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I figured if I had to choose, I'd probably choose to keep my left hand so I could keep fretting, because you can always find a way to pick the notes
Yeah.
if I had to
And
choose.
well, right. And I think it's the right choice. And I think a lot of people would say you're crazy, but I don't. I think that's absolutely the right choice because guitar comes first. And
Oh, yeah.
everything else you need your right hand for is second to guitar.
Yep. So if I have to do anything with the garbage disposal, I'll put my right hand in there. I know you're not supposed to do it, but yep. You know, if you had to choose, to
It's got to
lose
be done.
to lose your sight or to lose your hearing, I
Oh,
guess
it's sight every day.
I guess I'd have to. Yeah, I'd have to.
It's sight every day. Sight every day.
But there's
Uh,
some incredible musicians out there, and it's almost like, in a way, it's like, man, I can never touch. Talking about Segovia and I don't know who else. Pat Metheny and Stravinsky, the Assads. It's like, man, it's almost like it's hard to say. I don't know if I can ever, you know, reach the heights that those guys made it to. Talking about composing for guitar, I was thinking about that since we've had some time since our last conversation. Of course, I've been thinking about things we discussed, and it's like, it's sort of a poetic way of saying it. It's like the things that the guitar can do, it's almost like worlds. Like you can go to these different worlds in guitar, and the way you get there is by training yourself, almost like if you were going to like climb Mount Everest. You got to be in physical condition to get to that world, whatever it looks like at the top of Mount Everest. Like we were talking about that A sus2 chord. If you're going to play that chord on piano, yeah, it sounds cool. It's a nice sounding chord. On guitar, you play it, and it's like this whole world opens up. And that's a simple example, like just to get the technique together, just to be able to play that chord. It opens up this whole world that can't be described by just, writing the notes on the page or, so there are places that you can go on the guitar, and you have to condition yourself to be able to get to those places. And so there are some places on guitar that I'll probably never get to. Pretty poetic, right?
it is. I like that a lot, and that's true. You mentioning that A sus2 on guitar versus on a piano. I think everyone listening knows exactly what you mean. there's a resonance with that chord that speaks on the guitar, and even fretted. If you go up to do it on a B, it's gorgeous. And
Do it on the B, like at the seventh fret. Or what do you mean?
I mean, no, just the same chord, but without the open strings, right? Just everything up a whole step.
That's a whole different fretting. World then. You're in a completely different world. But different planet.
it evokes things. Yeah, I like that, a different world, because
you play the
guitar
open
can
B.
really
open B, or you play the B that's on the the fourth string at the seventh fret. Wow, it's not even the same note. It's not.
Yeah.
It's such a different world. A piano. I hate to say it, but I don't think a pianist can understand that, because you only got one spot where you can play that particular pitch, and that's one thing that's so amazing about guitar. That I wouldn't want to discourage non-guitarists from composing music for guitar, but in a way, I feel like, man, you got to play it.
Yeah, if you don't, you're missing possibilities. There's definitely some avenues that you're not going to be able to take, just not knowing them. Like you say, that B is in 3 or 4 different places on the guitar, and every one is unique and has its own character.
Or is it the 9th fret on the 4th string?
Yeah. 7th, 9th.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery, even to me still,
Yeah.
It's a very mysterious instrument.
It's because we have that B bar chord on the 7th fret. It just seems right. Call it the 7th. I knew what you meant.
It also seems like guitarists are more accepting of, it's like usually guitarists tend to get along with each other, has been my experience. There seems to be more animosity between performers of other instruments. May not be true, but it's always my experience. Guitarists tend to get along for some reason.
Yeah, I think that's true, especially in like the college world.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I've said before, I find it, as much as I love classical music, the snootiness of it all really drives me nuts. But there is a lot of competitiveness in like the orchestra. I haven't seen this, but I've heard of like woodwind players, sabotaging each other's reeds and stuff before they go take auditions, and I never experienced anything like that with guitar. It was always a nice camaraderie, and it's like the kids at the back of the bus. They're just they're a little more laid back. Maybe not getting the best grades, but I think that's what we are. Maybe the kids at the back of the bus. I don't know.
There's just something about it. There's something beyond words when you just play that power chord at the 7th fret. It's just, for it either speaks to you or it doesn't. I was talking about that Sex Pistols song. It just spoke to me, and I think everyone has their own moment when they heard some music and it was just wow, and you can't explain it, you can't describe it. You can try to recreate it, but you never will. And that's why those original recordings of some of those really classic songs, like by today's standards, they're not as good recordings. Some of the early Rolling Stones or whatever. And there's just something that's beyond words.
They wouldn't sound like that today, that's for sure. I really like even like the old gritty Segovia recordings. They're like, I don't know, are they from the 30s? I love that sound.
How he had to do that in one take.
Yeah, I know. We can't back up, buddy. Get it right.
No overdubs then, and that's huge,
Oh, who was it that sent? I think it was Martin Slater sent in music that was like recorded from tape, and then he had the tape transferred to digital. But I really dug that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as much as I've talked about miking properly and whatnot, I really enjoy the sound of just raw playing, you know. And,
Yeah, reminds me of, I heard about these, I don't know, they're cheap plastic cameras. I don't know if you heard about this, where you can take pictures through these cheap plastic cameras and they're not sealed all the way, so some light comes through, and the picture that comes out from those is like way more artistic than you would get from like a nice camera.
really, no, I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, I think I heard it on
Have you?
NPR or something. There's, interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of cameras they are, but yeah, that's
Oh,
the lo-fi recordings can sometimes be really cool too.
it's like adding record hiss to your or tape hiss to your.
Yeah,
They have like plugins, you know. You can just put like a fake tape hiss on your stuff.
yeah. All the
I actually
Grateful
know a
Dead.
guy. I know a guitarist who he recorded. I think it's a Granados piece. I can't remember. It's one of his more popular ones, but he recorded it with like a tape hiss plugin on.
Just sounds like
Like
it's
that.
sort of older. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of a cool
timeless.
effect, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we strive for. That's just
Yeah,
sometimes what I think. You want to have your music be so original that it's timeless.
yeah. Hey, can I ask you a Grateful Dead question?
All right.
And I got to be careful here because we could easily do probably a 2-hour podcast just talking Dead. But
Well, you're welcome to edit any of this down, of course, but that's more work for you. So
yeah, no, I think I've
whatever you
tried to
want to
keep it
do.
all.
Yeah.
Um, but I think of the Grateful Dead in eras,
Oh yeah.
basically by keyboardist. You know, you have the
Mm-hmm.
early Pigpen days, the
Mm-hmm.
Keith and Donna days, the Midland days. You know,
Yeah, Brent Midland. Yeah.
yeah. Do you favor any of those as you
Uh,
listen, or
yeah, I do. I love Brent. I do love Brent for sure.
yeah?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get to see Jerry probably about 6 or 7 times. Got to some shows
Wow,
around Buffalo, and I was there
right on.
for I was there to witness Jerry. Yeah, when I was working on learning those songs, really trying to listen in and learn those guitar parts and really figure out what they're doing. Because you can get the chords down and just strum through the chords, and yeah, I'm playing the song. But if you listen to what they're doing and they're not strumming chords, it's amazing how much they don't play.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like a lot of silences, a lot of listening, and then there's like you got to get this one little doo doo doo.
right. There was a. Do you know the album Without a Net? It's a
Yes,
live.
yes, that was a
He
huge influence for me.
Oh, that one's so
Love that
good.
album. Yeah,
I was listening
but
to the Althea from that one, and I was actually really focused on Bob Weir's guitar. And I was like, Bob Weir is doing the coolest thing, and he's playing, I think, slide on it, but
okay,
he's building this little slide. He's just playing the two notes back and forth, but it just complements what Jerry's doing and what Jerry's singing so well. And like you say, you can just strum through it, but there's so much more going on. It's
yeah, he
it's
is.
fantastic.
Bob is sure famous for having those really unique rhythm parts and
Yeah,
chords and jazz harmonies and stuff. Yeah,
well,
and
that's really cool.
nobody
I never
sounds
saw.
like that. There's no group, or style of music that sounds like that. I think of it as its own style of music. It,
Oh, totally.
it's
It's
rock.
almost like it's so many people play them too that I almost think of their songs as like folk. It's like folk music. Everybody covers the Dead, right? Like
Yeah, it's
because
like Christmas songs.
the song, yeah, but they're just such good songs. And I I think about this a lot. Um, I think there's a lot of good bands that, I not my favorites, but a lot of people trying to do what the Dead did, but I like your Fishes and Widespread Panics and
Hmm.
whatnot. But none of them have the songwriting quality that I think the Grateful Dead have.
Yeah, yeah. Some of those lyrics, the Robert Hunter
Oh yeah,
lyrics, are pretty deep. Hey, you ever hear this
yeah.
band, Osric Tentacles?
No, but I love the name.
You should check them out. They're all instrumental. Uh,
Oz. How do you spell Osric?
Ozric.
Okay,
Osric
all right.
Tentacles. Yeah.
I'm writing it down now.
They play at Stonehenge all the time. What's that Glastonbury festival at Stonehenge? I guess it's around
I
there.
don't.
You don't know about that?
I don't.
I've never been there either, but Stonehenge, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Spinal Tap. I'm sure you're
Um,
familiar with that.
Spinal Tap is so. It hits so close to home that it hurts a little bit, but it's so funny because it's so spot on.
Yeah, when they're trying to find the stage. All right, it's rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
Where's the stage?
Yeah.
There's.
I think the scene of them trying to harmonize at Elvis's grave,
Yep. Yeah, we've all been there.
yeah, yeah.
The Doors, gotta love the Doors.
I
The
do. I
unique
like the Doors
sound.
a lot.
The
Yeah,
unique sound with that crazy organ.
yeah. I saw their organist one time, Ray Manzarek,
Yeah,
just by himself. It was kind of weird, but it was fun. It was at this little music festival.
yeah, I
But
know.
it was kind of cool to get a piece of them before it was done. Well, I mean, I guess before he was gone.
Oh yeah, he's passed
But,
on. Eh? I
he
didn't
has.
know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think
I
a few
know
years ago. But
the guitarist there, Robbie Krieger. I know he was started off as a classical guitarist.
oh yeah, they introduced us all to Asturias, right?
Yep, Spanish Caravan.
Spanish Caravan.
Yeah, classical guitar. Still, a lot of people don't know what it is. You say, "Oh, classical guitar." Well, what do you mean, 12 string? You ever
Yeah.
heard of Andres Segovia? No. It's amazing things, the things that are so near and dear to you, and other people have never heard of them. That's just how life is, I guess.
No, yeah.
It's
They.
interesting.
I was playing. I don't remember what I was playing, but my brother-in-law called it cantina music. I was like, "That's what this is to you, I guess. It's cantina music."
What
I'm
music
like,
was that?
yeah, I don't remember what I was playing. It was on a classical guitar. It was some piece.
I
But,
tell you, I have had, a lot of experiences where I swear people don't want to hear me playing classical guitar. I've had some
yeah,
things playing at restaurants and things, and some people, sometimes people are like, wow, that's really beautiful. It's amazing what you're playing. And sometimes I swear people just, they don't want it. I don't know. They prefer
yeah.
the jukebox. That's kind of a
I
negative thing to say,
no.
but that's been my
Well,
experience.
I've been there. I did the
Mm.
restaurant thing for. I actually really like playing restaurants, but yeah, some people
Yes, so
don't like
do
it.
I. Mm.
I gotta tell you though, you just made me think of something that was really funny. We were playing a band I used to play in. We're playing at a bar in a town called Delta, Utah, which is kind of a cow town out west. It's pretty. There's nothing out there,
Right.
and we were playing at the local establishment there, and I think we got done playing. I'm pretty sure it was "Tangled Up in Blue" by Bob Dylan,
Yes, love
and
love
this
that.
this it's a great song. This old
Love
cowboy
Dylan.
comes
Hmm.
stumbling over to us, and he says, "Y'all know anything older?" And my Freddie's like, "Would you like some Mozart? Like, what do you want?" So when we took our break, they went over to the jukebox. Whoever it was, and they proceeded to play "Sweet Home Alabama" like 4 times in a row while
Mm.
we were on break, and then
Mm.
everyone got up and danced,
Hmm.
which they were not doing when we were playing. And It's like, okay, we get the point.
Yeah, I've
They did
been there
not have us
too.
back.
I've been there too. Yeah, it's just discouraging, but that's how it
It was,
is.
but it's really one of my favorite memories, to be honest with you, because it was just so funny. It's like, we get the point. We get the point. You've never heard of Bob Dylan, and you want to hear "Sweet Home Alabama" and the like.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I don't know. I've had that experience too before, but I was also in this band where sometimes we wouldn't play a song, we would just start playing.
Right.
Yeah, I think I got those
The
reactions more on those types of things.
bar audiences always appreciate that. It's okay. We're gonna do a number called Space. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I did have one experience at a restaurant playing classical guitar where it's really probably my proudest moment. But I was setting up and I heard this guy who was just loud mouthing to his family and was saying, "Oh boy, here we go, another guitarist." And he kept saying he's gonna play "Every Rose Has Its Thorn." Watch, just watch. Here it comes. Every rose has its thorn. And I could hear him, and I think he was talking purposefully so I could hear him. You know, he was just kind of being a jerk. And so I was probably at the height of my practice hours at the time, and I went right into the grand solo by Soar, and I pretty much nailed it. Like I played it really well, and that guy just shut right up, and it was my favorite part of
Cool.
ever playing that restaurant.
Cool. So
So
he was impressed.
sometimes he was, I think, and I think he was also annoyed that I didn't play "Every Rose Has Its Thorn." Cause...
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's possible you pull out your phone and look up the chords to it, and if you're familiar with the song, sometimes you can pull it off.
Oh yeah, like "Every Rose."
Yeah.
It could have been done.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
It
that
could have been
happened.
done.
Yeah, pretty sure that happened to me before.
But...
Hmm.
Well, hey man, it's been great meeting you and talking to you.
Chris, same here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great to meet you. Like I said, it's almost like we've known each other for years here. But
Yeah, and I would like to do it again if you don't mind. I think I'll be kind of talking about it on the episode, getting a few people on here every now and
okay.
then. But
Yeah,
I'd certainly like to follow up with you one day and just keep in touch. But I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thanks. I mean, I feel like we more or less touched on everything, but there's a lot of stuff like horror movies we didn't discuss at all. I know you're a big horror movie buff.
Yeah.
I used to really like Night of the Living Dead. Watched that many times, but these
now
days,
I've got to have you back on now.
These days, it's almost like, man, hearing about all the real horror things that people do out there, it's almost like,
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize people actually do that stuff. There's some crazy people out there doing terrible things.
It's pretty awful. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't enjoy realistic horror. I enjoy a good monster movie more
Yes.
than stuff that is just a little too realistic. Just, yeah. It stops being entertainment for me, and it's like,
Yeah, I don't like how the zombies have gotten so fast these days. Zombies are supposed to be slow, and now they're so fast.
I think there was such an overload of zombie movies that
Yeah.
they're like, what can we do that's new? Oh, let's make the zombies run.
Yeah. Yeah. Zombie apocalypse. Everyone talks about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be just around the corner. I don't know. Whatever's next for this year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, all we can do is, what do you say? Keep on plucking?
yeah, keep on plucking. It's
Gotta.
like my Prozac, you know. Just pull out that guitar, and
Absolutely.
I feel a lot happier. I got in some good playing this morning, actually.
Great.
Just gets me where I need to be.
Nothing like it. You're talking about how strings would sound good, or different things sound good. And sometimes it's just the way it feels, if it feels better and it sounds better to you, maybe the audience wouldn't even know the difference, but, like sometimes a nicer set of strings or a nicer guitar, well, it just feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah. If it's comfortable in the hand, that's like, I think that's number one. If I'm making a list of like what the guitar needs that I'm going to buy, it's got to be comfortable in the hand
Mm-hmm.
and pleasant to play. And the sound, good guitarists can, make a toy sound decent.
Right.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. It's all about.
you enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, as I said, it's really good to meet you, and I've enjoyed this conversation. I definitely would like to follow up with you. So, keep in touch.
All right. Yeah. Thanks again, Chris. So, I hope maybe some of your listeners get something out of this. maybe not.
Yeah. Somebody will.
Yeah.
No, I think putting a voice behind the music, it interests me for sure. And it's also nice to just have somebody to talk to rather than trying to carry on a monologue. So it's been great for me.
Well, you do a great job. It's always a joy listening to your podcast. So
Well, thank you, man. That means
keep
a lot.
it up.
All right. Well, have a good one, Scott.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So that was my conversation with Scott Niebauer. And I think there was a hard drive fan creeping into the microphone there. So I tried to pull it out as best I could, but a lot of just sound problems going on with that service we used. But nonetheless, I think it was a great conversation, and in spite of the technical difficulties, I think we pulled it off. So now we're going to hear that new piece by Scott, which is thus far untitled. right, so that is a new untitled piece from Scott Niebauer. And now we are going to hear a piece by Paul Horn. Paul writes, I have been learning classical guitar since 2009 and have tried my hand at composing a couple of times. I would consider my music to be contemporary and find that open triads is a great starting point. Andrew York has some videos on this via YouTube. Paul has included some places where we can find him. I'm going to put those on the website as well as other relevant things to this show. This is a piece by Paul called Nothing More to Say. All right, and there it is. We've just heard Nothing More to Say by Paul Horn. Thank you, Paul. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. I'd like to remind you that you can support the show by going to classicalguitarcomposers.com and purchasing my sheet music. It's a great way to help out the show and get a little something in return. You can also go there to find links to composers from all of our shows. If you hear something you like and want to play it, please support the composers who contribute to this show. Many of them have music and recordings available. So once more, I want to thank Scott, and I have more questions for you, Scott. I want to talk more about those Dead shows you saw. They released a recording called Truckin' Up to Buffalo a few years ago. I'm curious if you were present for that show. I can't remember the actual year, but it'd be the right location and the right time period for you, I believe. I'd like to have talked more about Brent Midland and some of the other Dead eras. I did want to say I too really love the Brent Midland era. I think that the Dead were really firing on all cylinders. I also really enjoy the small period after Brent's passing with where they had Bruce Hornsby. But another time, I'd also, of course, like to talk more about horror movies. So, with that, we're going to call this a show. We'll resume in September. I want to thank you for joining me. And until next time, keep on plucking.